little champions, I welcome you all to PU2 BRAHMASTRA series. But today we are going to deal with the third last chapter of biology, that is organisms and population. And along with that, I want to wish all my cute little Santa Clauses a very happy Christmas. May this Christmas bring you lots and lots of happiness and love, and I will always pray for you like I always do, and keep praying for us as well, and keep showering your love and all in the form of comments. The comments means a lot to us. When I see those comments, I feel really happy. You can see that now also, and seeing you guys asking me doubts is so good. Okay, please keep on asking doubts, keep on saying ma'am it's good video or ma'am it's bad video, whatever you want to say, but definitely talk to us. Okay, now without delaying any bit, let's get into the topic. So organisms and population holds 6 or 5 marks, my dear children. So according to blueprint 1, they say it will be of 6 marks. According to 2 and 3, it says it will be of just 5 marks. So you can expect a 5-marker question for sure according to all the blueprints. So one 5-marker question is going to come from this chapter. Okay, now one 1-marker could also come over here, which is why I have included both 1-marker and 5-marker questions. Cool. Now I hope everyone knows that PU2 Success Blueprint Test Series is going on. There are 2 test series part tests that has been completed. So before it gets delayed, please go register now, enroll yourself. Okay, the link is given in the description box. And everything is available within just 599 rupees. There could be certain off and things like that. Go check it out by yourself. Now, how many questions are we going to discuss today? There will be 10 1-marker question and there will be 8 5-marker question. So I hope within this 8 5-marker question, you will get the question that could come on the day of examination as well. So I have taken questions from the model question paper that the government has released, and also certain previous year questions that have come repeatedly. Chalo, the first question says, Jiva was growing a bacterial colony in a culture flask under ideal laboratory conditions. Okay, so she was Jiva, or he or she, whoever it was, they were basically trying to grow a bacterial colony, okay, under laboratory condition. Now what? Where the resources sooner or later becomes limiting. That means the resources, they are what, children? Limited. They are limited. Cool. Now, which of the following equations will represent the current growth in this case? So you are asked about the growth. What type of growth is this particular thing showing? Where the resources are limited, my dear children, it would not be showing exponential growth. Can it show exponential growth? Can it show exponential growth? No. Exponential growth as in when there are nothing being limited, the growth of the population keeps on increasing, they will reproduce, they will keep on increasing because the resources are not limited. There is no fight. Resources are there, they will eat, they will grow, they will reproduce, and the things will go on. This is known as exponential growth, which usually gives a J-shaped curve. Now going ahead, there is some other growth also, which is known as logistic growth. Just a second. It is known as what, my cuties? It is known as logistic growth. Where what is happening? Where the resources are limited, there will be a carrying capacity. For this population, there will be a carrying capacity beyond which this particular population cannot grow. So the growth is kind of limited. So it will be basically showing something like this, where slowly it will grow and then it will be kind of stable. So there is a S-shaped curve that is being shown, and this is known as sigmoid curve. What do you call this? Sigmoid curve. Now the equation for this type of growth, that this logistic growth, is like this. If you want to find the population, this is the population size, my dear children. Now if you want to see the population size after a point of time, you do this. This is the time period. You are going to see the population size after some point of time. And the equation will go like this, where R is there. R is equals to birth rate minus death rate. R means you're talking about birth rate minus death rate. People who are getting added, people who are getting deleted from the population. Into N, that is the population size, that was the population size which was there before, into K minus N, that is carrying capacity minus the population which was there, divided by the carrying capacity of the population. This denotes what? Logistic growth, my dear children. And here, since sooner or later it is said that the limiting resources are there, obviously it will end up. That means you're talking about this growth, or basically this growth, which is shown by C. So it becomes the answer. If at all it was written that limiting resources are not there, so you have to go with this one, exponential growth, in which I will say dn by dt is equals to as simple as Rn. That's all. There is no carrying capacity, nothing. K stands for carrying capacity. Cool? Now let's get in one very important thing. Before I tell the answer, I want you to tell me the answer. So let's get started. The adaptation in which an organism matches its color with the surroundings to get protection from the predators is. So for example, I am an organism and I am going to, for example, this is black background. I am going to turn myself into black or somewhat similar in color. What? Because I want to escape from you guys. Okay, it's not, is it possible? Well, anyways, so basically this method is for my protection. This is for my protection, my dear children. What do you call this process as? Or what do you call this particular whole thing as? This is known as camouflaging. We say no. That camouflaging is happening. You have camouflage in the forest and stuff like that. Basically, when you are not able to differentiate is the organism there or not, they try to adapt to the surrounding atmosphere. Okay? It's not surrounding atmosphere, surrounding. So this becomes your answer. Easy question. Next, monarch butterfly is avoided by predators because, you know, monarch butterfly is a very beautiful butterfly. You might have already seen it, like orangish blackish in color. Okay. I thought of putting the picture, but I didn't. Okay, so it is avoided by predators. Predators as in the one who comes and eat it. Why? Because I'll tell you. When the predators comes and eat it, they are like, it's not tasty. Basically, it is highly distasteful, my dear children. In the larval stage, okay, when the monarch butterfly is in its larval stage, that's when it feeds on something that has kind of toxins in it. It feeds on something, okay, that has kind of some toxins in it which do not do anything to the butterfly, but anyone who comes and eats this butterfly will feel that, what I have eaten. So it is highly distasteful, my dear children. It is not because it is cryptically colored or camouflage. It is produces a poisonous cardiac glycoside. It has stinging cells on its body. No. It is highly distasteful, my dear children. Okay? Works. Actually, there is cardiac glycoside being produced in them, but it's not given in your NCERT, which is why we say. So this becomes the answer. Now, examples for ectoparasites are, what do you mean by ectoparasites? So there are two types of parasites. What do you mean by parasites? Parasite is basically an organism that could harm you. So I am the host. I am the host for the parasite, and parasite is going to harm me. This is a negative type of interaction where the host is basically the parasite which is there. It is having obviously positive points. It gets everything from me, but I am on negative side. Okay. Now there are ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ecto as in it's there on the external surface of our body or any organism's body. Endo as in it is inside. It has entered the body. Okay, those are endoparasites. For example, you have liver flukes, you have roundworm, you have tapeworm. Tapeworm is there in our intestine. You cannot see tapeworm outside our body hanging around like that. No, it's inside. So all of them, they are endoparasites. Whereas when you talk about lice, which are there on the hair, ticks, which is there on the dog's hair and body, okay, copypods, which are like small things found on fishes and stuff like that. They also kind of feed on the blood, okay, from the host. So all these things that you see over here, they are actually ectoparasites. Okay, the parasites which are outside the body. Cool? Are you getting things? Are you getting things, my dear children? Are you understanding? Please tell me you are understanding. If you are not understanding, then also tell me. I might be there in the live chat talking to you in the live chat. So please interact with me, a cordial request. Now, what does the shape of the given age pyramids A to C reflect about the growth status of the population? What do you understand by it? What type of growth is it showing? So over here, this thing that you see, this is the pre-reproductive thingy. Okay, we have the pre-reproductive thingy, population over here. This is the reproductive age and this is the post-reproductive ages. That is what you are basically trying to say. Okay, now listen to me very carefully. Okay, so over here, I say that this is having most of the population in pre-reproductive age, as in they are yet to reproduce. But I see the population is kind of a lot. You see, the population is kind of a lot. So the pre-reproductive group is a lot. That means in future they will be reproducing. So can I say this type of population is kind of expanding? This kind of population is going to expand, my dear children. So I will say this is expanding population. So there is only one which shows expanding. So I am going to write that. Now B over here, I feel the pre-reproductive is this. okay, and basically the reproductive is this. The reproductive band is the next band that you see over there. So it is kind of almost equal. It is kind of almost equal. So I will say it's a very stable population that we are having. Okay, we are having a very stable population. Whereas on the other hand, if you see the pre-reproductive, the people who are yet to reproduce are very less. That means in future you are not going to see reproduction, too much amount of population growth over there. So can I say it's declining? It is going to decline, my dear children. So over here, this particular thing will be showing that it is going to expand. This shows that it is kind of stable. This shows that it is declining. Okay, so these are the three different population graphs. I hope you got the answer. C is the answer. Now, sixth one. On the rocky sea coast of Scotland, the larger and the competitively superior barnacle Balanus dominates the intertidal area and excludes the smaller barnacle Thamalis, okay, from that zone. Which kind of interaction is being depicted by this example? So what are they doing, children? It's very bad thing that they're doing. So there are barnacles, two type of barnacle. One is Balanus and the other one is Thamalis. Okay, so basically what is happening over here is that this Balanus is very competitive, it is very superior, it is very large, okay, and basically they are going to compete. So both of them, they were acquiring some A position, but now this guy has come, the bigger guy has come and said that, hey Chutku, you have to get away from this particular place. Okay, this is our area, we are competitively active, we are going to kill you guys. So definitely move out. So over here, what are they doing, children? Don't you think that there is a competition happening? Don't you think there is a competition happening? Because they are going to feed on the similar resources. They are going to feed on the similar resources. So what can be done? Basically, this Chutku guy can move from here and go to other areas where the same resources could be found, right? It can move to some other area. So that is exactly being done. So over here, this is the larger, Balanus that you see, and this is the Thamalis. It kind of moves upwards. So now on the rocky sea coast of Scotland, the larger and the competitively superior barnacle Balanus dominates the intertidal area, this area, and excludes the smaller barnacle Thamalis from that zone. So they are excluded. They said go away from this particular place. So which kind of interaction is being depicted? As an example, my dear children, it is competition. Okay, it is not predation. Predation is where there is a prey and that is going to eat it. No, they are not going to eat each other. Parasitism is when you have a host, you are going to feed on it. Again, you are not doing anything like that. Commensalism is when basically one organism is getting benefited, other organism does not have any harm or any positive thing happening over there. But it's not like that this guy is getting harmed, which is why it had to move up, right? So this is competition. Cool. So do you think that you are also like this guy Balanus? I hope you are not. Okay, you should be helping each other and be good. Okay. Now going ahead, we have the seventh question. Assertion says predators maintain the prey population under control. So lion, suppose lion feeds on the deer. Lion feeds on the deer, and when they are doing so, they are making sure that the deer population is under control. Suppose they are not eating, so deer population will be way too much. If deer population is way too much, the plant population will be way too less. The plants that they are going to eat will be way too less. If the plants are going to be less, then other organisms which feeding on the plant, they will also be less. So there is a whole lot of problem. So basically, this lion has to make sure that this deer population is under control. And this lion also has to make sure one more thing, that is not eating all the deer. Okay, so it has to eat in control, and they do that. Predators, we say, are prudent. So they logically think and they do things. So they don't eat all the deer. They target the weak ones and they eat them. The rest of the ones which have the potential to reproduce and stuff like that, they will keep on reproducing. Okay, they will live them. So the weak ones are easy to target, so better kill them. Why to eat the others, right? So that is there. So predators maintain prey population under control, that is true. Predators reduce the intensity of competition among the competing prey species. Predators which are there, they are going to reduce the intensity of the competition among these deer species. Okay, obviously, if suppose deer is there, too many deers are there, they are all eating on plant. Now they won't get food because all of them are eating the plant. If the lion comes and eats a deer, or don't you think that competition is becoming less? Yes. So it is the nature's process of basically maintaining the balance, and this is exactly true. So predator maintain prey population under control. Predators reduce the intensity of competition among competing prey species. This is also correct. So this is kind of explaining, I'll say, if both assertion and reason are true, and the reason is a correct explanation of what? Assertion. Works. Chalo, next question. The epiphytes use the tree only for attachment and manufacture their own food by photosynthesis. So epiphytes, orchid is an epiphyte. Orchid is an epiphyte. Okay, epiphyte as in something that grows on another plant. Okay, why is it growing, dear children? So epiphyte mostly, okay, they just want to grow at the top region so that they get enough sunlight and stuff like that. Usually they cannot. So basically if they find a spot like that, they'll get enough sunlight, enough everything. That is why they are on there. Okay, so they want to do their own things. They are not going to disturb the plant they are attached to. For example, orchid is attached to the mango plant. It is not going to cause any trouble to the mango plant. It's just there. Okay, so what do you call this? This is commensalism. What do you call this? This is commensalism. The epiphyte, that is the orchid, is gaining what? It is gaining sunlight and every resources. But is it harming the mango plant? No, children. So the plant is not getting harmed, the other organism is not getting harmed. So I'll say it is commensalism. So commensalism results in negative effects on the growth and survival of one or both of the population. This is wrong. Commensalism is negatively never affects. Commensalism never affects negatively any organism. Commensalism will be affecting an organism positively and other organism will be unharmed. Won't be having any problem with that. So I'll say assertion is true, the reason is false. The reason is false, my dear children, and assertion is true. Do you feel that I have the energy today? Why do I feel I have so much energy today? Before getting into this particular thing, I didn't have energy. So you see this is an epiphyte, that is the orchid, okay, growing on the mango tree. And this is why just staying there, having the sunlight and everything, all cool. Chalo. Ninth question, which is a 1 marker. States that two closely related species competing for the same resource. Okay, so there is a same resource, that is a donut, and there are two closely related species competing for the same resource cannot coexist indefinitely and competitively. Inferior one will be eliminated eventually. So we should not be giving the example of donut and human beings. Instead, we should be giving example of what? Some organisms. Okay, some organism is there, my dear children. This organism and this particular organism basically wants this particular food. But do you think they are depending on the same resource, that is this particular thing? Do you think that they can survive for a longer time together? No, because at one point of time, when this particular resource becomes limiting, you don't have this thing, then what will happen? Only one guy will be able to survive. The one who is strong, who knows how to live, okay, who is competitively dominant, not inferior, it is dominant, that will be surviving. The one that is competitively inferior, it would not be surviving. And this is known as competitive exclusion principle given by Gauss. So you say it is Gauss's competition exclusion principle, okay, which states that two organisms, which basically two closely related species, which are basically competing for the same resources, cannot be coexisting indefinitely, and competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. So it's not like two different very closely species should be there. I just showed you just an example. So Gauss's competitive exclusion principle, okay, competition is competitive. Now you will say, ma'am, said wrong. Okay, now question number 10, the last one from 1 marker. The Ebbington tortoise in Galapagos Islands became extinct after goats were introduced on the island. Mention the type of interaction. Now because of one person coming in, if the other person is moving out and getting extinct, that means obviously this is what, children, this is probably you're talking about competition. Because obviously you know goats and tortoises do not eat each other, that thing you know. So basically probably they might be feeding on the same grass. And when goats came, they are organisms which can reproduce very easily. So they came in, they reproduced, they increased their number, and they were eating the grass so much, such that the poor Ebbington tortoise which was there, it was not able to find the food, which is why they got extinct. So this is an example of competition, and this is competitive exclusion principle, okay. So this is competition or competitive exclusion that you are seeing over here. Okay, Ebbington tortoise and what, children? And the goats. So goats are the winners. Now the 5 marker question starts from now on. Explain the fascinating forms of interaction in brood parasitism and sexual deceit. This is a very interesting thing. Brood parasitism. That means this interaction is what? Parasitic interaction, or you say parasitism. Okay, and what exactly is happening over here? Have you seen cuckoo? Cuckoo the bird, okay? Cuckoo bird is very clever. What it does is that, suppose there is a crow's nest over here. There's a crow's nest over here. Crow has laid some eggs, okay, and the little crow is there. I know the crow might look like something else, so, okay, anyways. So the crow is there, okay? The cuckoo bird, what it does is that it comes and puts its egg over here. It will come and put its egg over here and let this particular crow provide all the nutrition, all the warmth and everything. So cuckoo is too lazy to provide a protection to the own baby, okay, which is there over here. So it uses crow's nest. It goes and puts the egg over there, and it makes sure that it does not get identified, okay. The evolutionary mechanism has worked like that it won't be able to identify at all. Now this guy will be providing every nutrition, everything that is possible, not nutrition, basically warmth and everything that is possible, and later on what happens, basically you are making use of the hosts. So this is a parasitism because this guy is being used, this is the host. It's nutrition, it's basically time, it's everything is being utilized, my dear children, okay. And the cuckoo which is there, that becomes the parasite over here. So brood parasitism, a reproductive strategy where one species, the parasite, lays its egg in the nest of another species, leaving the responsibility of raising the young to the host. Example, cuckoos are well known brood parasites. Cuckoo eggs mimic the appearance of the host eggs, that is crow's eggs, reducing the likelihood of rejection. Impact on the host, what it does to the host. The host bird invests resources in raising the parasite's young, often at the expense of its own offspring. Yes, it will sometime, you might see the birds kick out the own eggs and all, given it's too much. So parasites typically outcompete the host chicks for food and care later on. So that is really bad of cuckoo. So should not be like cuckoo, should not be like cuckoo, my dear children. And do not be like crow also. Do not get, what do you call it in English? I'm not getting the word. Deceived. Yes, not get deceived by anything. Okay. Now, the next thing is sexual deceit. This is next level thing. What is happening over here? There is a flower. Okay. The Mediterranean orchid. The Mediterranean orchid. So, what happens? Mediterranean orchid. It looks like the partner of a bee. Mediterranean orchid looks like the partner of the bee. So what it does, the bee comes and pseudo-copulates. What do you call it? Pseudo-copulation. It thinks that it is the partner and it comes and tries to copulate. But while it does so, what is the use for this orchid to behave like this? Basically the orchid behaves like this, or basically it has the evolutionized like this to support pollination. Because the bee is coming, the bee obviously comes with lots of pollen grains on it. When it comes over here, it is transferring the pollen grains, and that's how pollination will be happening over here. So this is sexual deceit that is taking place over here, my dear children. There what is happening? Certain orchid species, that is Mediterranean orchid of Ophrys, okay, the name is Ophrys, okay, mimic the appearance and scent of the female insects to attract male pollinators. It looks like the female one, to attract what? The male pollinators. These males attempt to mate with the flower, inadvertently transferring pollen to the process, that is pseudo-copulation. Significance: sexual deceit benefits the deceiver by facilitating pollination or predation while exploiting the natural behavior of other species, which is really bad. Okay, so that is also happening over here. So sexual deceit is something that you might see, the questions might be coming again and again from this particular thing. Just give me a second, okay? Just give me a tiny little second. Yes, champions. Chalo, the next thing. Ayo. Mention the population interactions that exist among the following. Okay, so we have to find the population interaction which is there. So Abingdon tortoise and goats, you know that. Tell me, Abingdon tortoise and goats, my dear children, it is competition. I told you, both of them, they are basically feeding on the grass, and the goats surpass it. Why? Because they have the reproductive ability, they reproduce really faster, they keep on reproducing, they have the more population size, they will feed on grass and basically compete for this. Now that is competition. Tiger and deer. Tiger eats the deer. So can I say it's prey-predator relation? Yes, it is a prey-predator relation where one gets benefit, that is obviously the predator, and the prey dice, negative interaction. Now, sea anemone and clownfish. So, sea anemone is there which has tentacles and things like that. You might have seen in Nemo, Finding Nemo if you have seen. Okay, so sea anemone looks like this, which has all the tentacles like this, and in this tentacles the little fishy, which is like the Nemo, which is orange in color. I'm not going to make everything orange and black in color, it just moves around. So, sea anemone is the one with tentacles and the clownfish is basically there. So, sea anemone provides protection in a way, okay, to the little clownfish. So, I will say this is commensalism, where one is getting benefit of it, that is the clownfish. Sea anemone is not getting any benefit. Now, wasp laying egg in the fig fruit. The wasp laying egg in the fig fruit. So, wasp is getting a place to lay the egg, it gets nutrition also and everything. The fig fruit is making sure that pollination is happening. So, I will say it is mutualism. Both of them are basically getting something good from each other. Cuscuta growing on the hedge plant. Cuscuta is what, children? It is a plant that does not have enough amount of chlorophyll pigments, which is why it depends on other plants which are green in color, which has the chlorophyll pigments, which does photosynthesis. And what it does, slowly the cuscuta which is there, suppose this is the cuscuta, okay, it slowly puts finger like projection into the plant's body and goes to the xylem and phloem and takes all the nutrients from them. So, this is parasitism. It is a plant parasite, my dear children. Cuscuta is a plant parasite. So, what do we have? We have prey predator, we have competition and everything. Okay, competition, prey predator, sorry, parasitism, mutualism. Oh, this is not mutualism, I'll say. This is not mutualism, please, 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 please. This is not mutualism, this is commensalism. Commensalism. Again, this is parasitism. This is the, this is the sea anemone and this is the Nemo, This is the sea anemone and then you have what? The clownfish over here. Exactly like that. Curious. So, these tentacles kind of save these guys. Okay, now the next question. Predators are prudent and conduits. This is a very interesting question, okay, because of the term that is being used, and I found it very interesting, the answer also. So, predators are told to be prudent. Why prudent? I told you, it's not like they are fools, they are not keeping on eating food, because if they do so, they are pretty sure that they would not get food later on. If you overeat, probably there won't be food later on. So, prudent because they make good choices, okay, they make good choices while doing the, while foraging for the prey. Okay, they make sure that they are targeting just the weak ones. The strong ones are still there, they are left to reproduce and things like that, so that the population increases and later on they get enough food later on. Okay, and predators are conduits also. What do you mean by conduits? Conduits as in a channel, they are going to act like a channel. So, with the help of predators, the energy which is there that we get from the prey, we are getting transferred to other organisms as well. Now, this particular predator will be eaten by something else, and hence basically it is acting as a channel for the transport of what? Energy. This is what you are trying to say. Now, to lessen the impact of predation, okay, this is the first part. Let's read the first part first. So, predators plays an essential role in maintaining the ecological balance by regulating the prey population. They are considered prudent because overexploitation of prey would lead to their own decline due to food scarcity. That is why they are said that they are prudent. Okay, they are making sure that there is no overexploitation. They are carefully eating. They are targeting what? The weaker ones. Now, predators act as conduits in the energy flow of an ecosystem, transferring energy from prey species to themselves and then other trophic levels or the other organism which is going to eat them. For example, lion hunting herbivores ensure that weak and diseased individuals are removed, which indirectly improves the prey population's health as well. There are so many things in there. Now, to lessen as in to lower the impact of predation, prey species have evolved different defensive methods in plants and animals. Support your answer by giving one example each for a plant and animal. So, I have given more than one example for you to understand things better. So, what is the question? What does the question exactly mean? It means that basically if someone is going to eat me, I have to have my own defense mechanism, and there are certain defense mechanism that is already set, and I have been asked about that. What are the defense mechanism, both in the case of plants as well as animals? So, we will start off with animals first. So, animals over here, some species of insects and frogs, they camouflage so that the predators which are there would not be able to see. Second thing, some are very poisonous. So, something comes and eats them, obviously it is going to kill. It might basically save other organisms from the same group. Okay, and therefore they are avoided by the predators. Now there is monarch butterfly. I already told you it is highly distasteful to its predator due to the presence of what special chemical in its body. The chemical is acquired by feeding on a poisonous weed during the caterpillar stage. During the larval stage, it feeds on that. That's how it gets it. Okay, what is it? Monarch butterfly. Now in the case of herbivore, basically plants are being eaten by herbivores, and herbivores mostly eat the plant sap. Okay, you call them as phytophagous. Okay, they're feeding on the plant sap. 25% of them, 25% of the insects, basically they are phytophagous, and other parts of the plant. So the problem is severe for the plants because they cannot run away from the predators, obviously, so they should be having good defense mechanism. So have you seen thorn? Have you seen thorns on the plant? So thorns in the case of acacia, thorns in the case of cactus and everything, they are morphological means of defense. Morphological as in their body only they are creating defense mechanism. They are changing their morphology, their physical appearance. Okay, and these thorns are going to protect them. Now second thing, many plants produce and store some chemicals which make the herbivore sick. Obviously, so if there's eating something, some plant part, it will get sick. Now this guy won't be coming up eating things again. Now there is Calotropis, that one that I have shown over here. You might have seen it. Okay, if you have not seen it, I'll zoom it and show you. This is a very interesting thing. I'm pretty sure you have seen it. Okay, this is found in a wild manner. It's a wildflower sort of thing. So Calotropis, if you've seen, it's not been eaten up by a lot of things. So Calotropis produces poisonous cardiac glycosides. Okay, it produces cardiac glycosides which is going to be working against the herbivores which comes and eats it. What is it, children? Cardiac glycosides, sort of chemicals which are being produced. They are toxic. And who is this? Calotropis. So monarch butterfly also basically somehow has a different form of the same thing, but it's not given in your NCERT, so I won't ask you to go ahead and read about cardiac glycosides in monarch butterfly. Just know, whoever eats monarch butterfly finds it to be very distasteful. That is more than enough for you guys. Now Calotropis is not like that. Here you have to remember the cardiac glycosides which works against the herbivore. So these are the few defense mechanisms that you have, okay, in the case of plants as well as animals. Now, explain mutualism with examples. So, mutualism as in both of them have to be getting the benefit of it. So, you have to give certain examples, okay. So, mutualism is an interaction between two living organisms, both are equally benefited, none of them is harmed. First example is lichen. Okay, first example is lichen, my dear children, and lichen is something that acts as what? Population control coordinator. Okay, so basically if there is too much amount of, not population, I'm so sorry, okay, it's a pollution indicator. Okay, it's a pollution indicator. If there is pollution, the lichen won't be growing on there. So lichen is a combination of a fungus and as well as algae, that is cyanobacteria. It's a bacteria, not algae actually. Okay, it is cyanobacteria as well as the fungus. So cyanobacteria, basically they have the capacity to prepare their own food. They have the capacity to prepare their own food. Okay, well the algae what is going to do, the fungus what is going to do, basically the fungus help the algae in absorption of the essential nutrients. So fungi has, you know, hyphae and stuff like that, root like structure which can get inside and take in all the nutrients. So this fungus is responsible for absorption of the essential nutrients which are there, okay, from the soil, whereas the algae which is there, algae provides the food for the fungi. Okay. Okay, the algae will be providing the food because it has the ability to make the food. It is a cyanobacteria, it is an autotroph. It is an autotroph which has the ability to make its own food. So that's about lichen. So both of them, they are benefiting each other. Similar thing is there in mycorrhiza. Okay, so mycorrhizae or mycorrhiza is what I say. Mycorrhiza which is there, it is the relation between fungi and the plant and the roots of the higher plant. Over here also the fungi can go deep and take nutrients and everything. The plants which are there, obviously it can provide what? The important carbohydrates which it makes with the help of photosynthesis. So lichen is between what? Fungus and cyanobacteria, basically algae, and here mycorrhiza is between what, children? Fungus again and the roots of the plant. Okay, both of them, the fungus is helping in the absorption of important nutrients, and both places basically they are getting what? The food. Okay. Now plants and the pollinating agents. So plants provide the pollinating agents, the nectar and everything as a reward, and pollinating agents basically are going to provide plant with the help of what? Pollination. They are going to provide pollen grains. So plant provide nectar and pollen for pollinating agents like birds and animals. In turn, these agents pollinate the flowers. That's how they reproduce. That's how their lineage can go on. Now you have plants and the seed dispersing agent. Animal disperse the seed of the plant, and plant provides juicy and nutritious fruits for the seed dispersers. So it's not just the small insects that you see, but also animals. They also carry this pollen grains and everything, and in turn they can eat the fruit, right? Now a particular species of fig tree, okay, the fig tree, wasp and the fig tree, is pollinated by a species of wasp only. Okay, they have co-evolved in a way that this particular fig tree will be pollinated by this particular wasp only. So the wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence while searching for suitable sites for oviposition, as in egg laying. So this wasp is searching for a good place to lay their egg, and when they find the fig thing, so they get into the ovary, and basically they are going to lay their egg there, and they are going to feed on some seed and also things like that. But this wasp is basically coming over here and helping in pollination. That is all the more very much important. So in the fig, where is it? So the wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence while searching for a suitable site for oviposition, that is egg laying. In turn, the fig provides the wasp some of its developing seeds as food for the developing wasp larvae. So that is also there. So basically they are kind of helping each other. So don't think there is only one seed. There are so many seeds being produced, so you do not have to be worried about the seeds being taken up by the larvae. Okay, so in a way they are kind of helping each other. What is it? Fig and the wasp. Cool. And the sexual deceit one was Ophrys, Mediterranean orchid. Do not get confused with that. Cool. Chalo. Next question. What is commensalism? Explain with any two example. Commensalism is when one organism is benefited and the other organism is neither harmed nor benefited. It's just like staying there. Explain with any two examples. So I told you already one example, sea anemone and clownfish is there. Sea anemone and clownfish is there. Apart from that, there are whales and barnacle. So barnacle comes and stays on the whales, basically it gets everything. There is one famous example, that is of the ergot and the cattle. So what happens, you might have seen ergot on the top of the cattle. When they walk around, with their tail they used to like move around, right? So what they basically do, these ergots know, they're waiting such that the cattle, when the cattle moves from the soil, there will be a lot of things that will coming up and they will be feeding on that. So that is the use. So basically the ergot is getting a good thing. It's getting good meal out of that. So this is the interaction in which one species benefits and the other is neither benefited nor harmed. The orchid growing as an epiphyte on the mango branch. The orchid which is growing as an epiphyte on the mango branch. Okay, there it is just there for sunlight and everything, no problem is happening to the mango branch. Now clownfish living among the tentacles of the sea anemone. Okay, and now you have barnacles on the back of the whales, cattle egret on the grazing cattle. So whenever things get flew up, and basically the insects and something like that, they are going to feed on that, the egret. Cool. Now state Gauss's competitive exclusion principle. I already told you, when there are two closely related species living in the same area competing for the same resources, they would not be able to basically stay there indefinitely. Okay, and one of them which is competitively inferior will be eliminated eventually. That is the thing. So two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, and the competitive inferior one will be eliminated eventually if the resources are what, children? Limited. Cool. So that is Gauss's competitive exclusion principle. Going ahead with the next question, what are ectoparasites and endoparasites? And also a little addition to this question, that is what are the parasitic characters that the parasites have evolved? That is also a question. Now ectoparasites, I told you, they live outside the body of the host. Host you have to mention. Whenever you talk about parasitism, you have to mention host. So ectoparasites are the one that live outside the body of the host. Endoparasites are the one that live inside the body of the host. Now what are certain things that the parasitic characters that parasites have evolved to stay inside the body? To stay what? Inside the body. So they do not have legs and all. They do not have legs and all, so that easily they can basically move around. Okay, they can easily move around. They have high reproductive capacity, so they can reproduce and increase in number. Okay, they have loss of unnecessary sense organs which they do not need. Why do they need it? Okay, so over here they have loss of unnecessary sense organs. They will be having presence of adhesive organs such that they can hold and just stay there, suck the blood and do everything they want. Now loss of digestive system, again they do not need it. High reproductive capacity, complex life cycle involving one or two intermediate hosts, vectors to facilitate parasitization in its primary host. So they are having different hosts. So their life cycle is kind of complex, it's slow, but it is kind of very much good. They would be able to survive with the help of that. So parasites that feed on the external surface of the host organisms are known as ectoparasites, and the parasites that live inside the host body at different sites, basically liver, kidney, lungs and everything, they are known as endoparasite. Listed in 3 parasitic adaptation, these are things: loss of unnecessary sense organs, presence of adhesive organs, loss of the digestive system, high reproductive capacity, really good. Okay. Now complex life cycle involving 1 or 2 intermediate host vectors, such that they can basically live for some time and they can find the perfect time to get into the primary host that they are looking forward for. Okay. Going ahead. Just a second. Okay, I think I have one more question, or this is the last question. Okay. Write any 4 factors that influence population density. What are the 4 factors that will influence the population density? So population density is basically the amount of people who are there in one particular given point of time, right? So it will be defined with the help of natality, mortality. Okay, that is, you're talking about the birth rate, you're talking about the death rate, the people who are giving birth, the increase of birth and the death rate which is there. Okay, you're talking about immigration, the amount of people who would be moving out, sorry, moving in, immigration, yes, in. Now emigration, the amount of organisms that would be what? Moving out. All of this, they are basically the certain factors of what? Population density, about which we are going to study once more. Okay, I think I should be showing you that first and then coming on to this particular thing. So what is population growth? Explain factors responsible for fluctuating population density. So population growth is what? It is the size of the population changes depending on availability of food, predation, pressure and reproductive weather. Now the population size fluctuated due to changes in 4 basic processes, 2 of which, natality and immigration, contribute an increase in the population density, and 2 of them, mortality and basically emigration, they are going to decrease the population density. What do you mean by natality? Natality means number of birth, that is the birth rate. Okay, the number of birth in a given period in the population that are added to the initial density. You don't have to write the whole thing, you can just write the number of birth in a given period in a population at a particular point of time. This is known as natality. Mortality means the number of deaths in a population in a given period of time. The number of deaths, okay, and the number of birth in a given population at a given period of time. Please remember the time zone has to be mentioned. Immigration is the number of individuals of the same species that have come into the habitat, okay, from elsewhere in a given period of time. Immigration as in something is getting in. Okay. Now emigration is the number of individuals of the same species that have left the habitat and moved out elsewhere. So basically what is going to increase the population density? What do you think is going to increase the population density, my dear children? 2 things: birth, the number of birth, that is natality, the number of birth that is happening in a given population in a given period of time, that is going to increase things. And now immigration, the number of organisms, okay, the number of individuals or basically organisms of the same species that are getting inside into a one particular habitat. We get it? And population density is going to go low when you're talking about mortality. When the mortality is high, that means the number of individuals who are dying in a population in a given period of time, that is mortality. And also emigration, where they are going to move out of the population. This is going to make the population size down, this is going to make the population density really up. So E for immigration, E for exit, you can remember like that. Okay, whenever I have a confusion, I also remember it like that. Cool? So this is what you mean. Population growth is basically the change in the size of the population in a given period of time in a given area. Change in the size of the population. What is population growth? The change in the size of the population in a given period of time in a given area. Now over here, write any 4 factors that influence population density. I told you, so that means this is an important question. You see the repetition, right? Now draw a graph showing exponential growth curve. I told you exponential growth curve means there is no limiting resources. There is what, children? There is no limiting resources. Over here you write time and over here you write the population. So initially obviously it needs some time to get stable over there. So this is the first phase that you're having. Slowly when the resources are there, they are going to move. So this is an exponential growth that you see. This is known as J shaped curve, my dear children. So with time, you see population is basically what? Increasing. This is exponential growth. So this is population density, that is a change. So population density is there, and if I change, how do you see? dn by dt is equals to Rn, where what do you mean by R? Number of people who are born minus the death. This is an extra thing. Okay, this will be the organism that will be there. The people who are born, people who are dying. That is the next population that you are having, into n, that is the previous population size that you had. This is what you find. Okay. Now what is sexual deceit? We already discussed it. What is sexual deceit? It is showed by Mediterranean orchid, that is what? Ophrys. And with this, we have completed all the questions related to this particular topic. And one more very important thing, I have to talk about ammensilism. Okay, ammensilism is basically when one organism is getting benefit and the other organism is getting harmed. Ammensilism is when one organism is getting benefit and the other organism is basically harmed, opposite of commensalism. Okay, example, there are certain plants which will be releasing certain chemicals down in the roots, and while they are doing so, they are making sure that the other plants which are there, they are not going to spread their roots into this particular area. They are not going to basically take their nutrition away. So which is why they do not want other organisms to, the other plants to live nearby, which is why they are releasing chemicals. So over here, they are all obviously they are growing because they are basically making sure that all the resources are just for themselves, but they are harming other organisms as well. This is known as ammensilism, that is opposite of commensalism. Commensalism is kind of positive. Okay, so not show ammensilism, show commensalism. Okay, and with that, we are basically completing our chapter. If you think that there's some doubt that you need to ask to me, please feel very free to put down your doubts in the comment section. I'm here to solve. Okay, and also if you like this video, do not forget to tell me that ma'am it was good, or ma'am if it was not good, tell me ma'am it was not good, or whatever you want to say, you can say. Whenever you talk to me, I feel really good. I remember a few children from this particular YouTube session. Usually when I was teaching offline, I used to just remember them. Okay, now when I see you people also commenting down, I remember your names, I feel a connection. So keep on building that connection as well. Yeah, so that's all my dear children. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our little channel, that is Diksha Karnataka. Wishing you a good day ahead. Once again, Merry Christmas.